because I do that because in the replays, I'm like, well, you never know when someone's going to watch this. So I try to greet everybody, but it's just us. So good afternoon. For those who don't know, this is Spark Office Hours, and we're just here. And if no one's here for the next 15 minutes, we're just going to go our merry way. But we're making ourselves available if you stumble across us in one of these avenues. Jessica, how's your day?
My day's going really well.
Yeah. Give us a highlight other
Yeah.
than feeding your kids like ravenous wolves, I think was the emoji you gave me.
Yeah. They're just kind
Is
of
that what it was?
They're just like extra when my husband's not here. So yeah, it was great. Breakfast is one of my favorite things to make. And so I made homemade waffles and got my waffle iron
What?
out. Yeah, I made them omelets. And so then we all got to sit together and eat, and it was nice. And then I said, go build a fort. So that was fun.
Hashtag parenting done right. That's something ChatGPT can't do yet. Is parenting. Well, that's more of an intuitive journey. Fun fact about ChatGPT. So, I was on a call yesterday. I do that crypto show, and it was you didn't watch any of it, did you?
I know I haven't yet.
It was the conspiracy episode, and like because everyone's like, okay, and someone's watching. So if we're talking way off the map, please ask your question in the comments. We want to hear from you. We want to answer your questions about ChatGPT, but we were talking about this show I did yesterday. Someone was asking, what could AI do and what can't it do? And in the call yesterday, it was the conspiracy episode. So we had one guy I know and like, Victor. He's trippy. He's Puerto Rican, I think. He lives in Pennsylvania. He's always into weird projects, and he does a lot of really cool augmented reality stuff for African art. He's like a huge voice for African art. But he told me, and we looked at this, there is an AI they've put together, and they admit it's AI, and that's the selling point. It's AI psychic readings. And I was like, wait a minute, time out. I was like, we both know that like let's just say we fully believed in psychic readings first.
Right.
Let's say we believed in that. Like, that's like an intuitive thing, right? That's like metaphysical. And he said, well, the scientists behind it, that they wrote an algorithm, it's AI. They believe that quantum theory in quantum entanglement is involved in the process. And quantum entanglement isn't sold to humans. I know, like, and you've doing energy work. It's like, wait, how does this intuit? He goes,
I'm listening, but
and I'll get this to you. He said he'll give me 5 free credits to a psychic reading. And I was like, bro, bring it. I was like, I need to know how far AI can go. And on that note, before we dive into something we did with AI, and again, if you're watching, I see a few viewers. Do you see the viewer count on your screen?
I do not, but I did have enough time to link this to my Facebook, so I'm live on mine as well.
Okay. So yeah, if you're here and you're dropping in, this is Spark Office Hours. Please ask your questions below. It could be about anything, or it could be about ChatGPT or AI in general. But tying that story together about the psychic AI, I have a friend from high school who she's in real estate, and I saw that she was teaching on AI, and I had no idea she knew anything about it. And I messaged her today, and your door has a ghost.
I know, just ignore the door.
She told me she's doing a conference for her realtor. She has either an agency or a brokerage, and her agents are getting really wound up because they're hearing all the fancy things AI can do. And instead of selling, they're out there trying to like record video, get it into Descript, get Descript to read the transcription, put it into Synthesia, which has like AI avatars who will read your script. Oh. And it's like, wait, why don't you just record that video yourself? And so there are like marketplace limitations to ChatGPT and AI, but one of them is not getting quotes. So I'm going to pull this up real quick if you're okay with that while people are watching.
Yeah, I think it looks good.
So real quick, everybody, and I'm going to get rid of our little footer here. Jessica did the following. Let me hide it there. There we go. So this is Canva. And this is like the most widely used way to use ChatGPT right now. And do you want to describe what you did real quick?
Sure. All right. So I went into ChatGPT and I just asked it to provide me with 15 I did famous quotes about website design. I just kept it very simple, and I asked it to provide that to me in a bulleted list. And it provided me with, I think, well, it was like 15. I did it a couple times, and I chose the ones that I liked, and then I copied those into a spreadsheet through Google Sheets.
Okay.
So it was, like a table or spreadsheet. And then I imported that into Canva and connected it to this graphic that we created, and it generated 17, I believe, slides with those 17 quotes that I settled on. And now I'm going to use these different slides in our marketing for Spark sites.
So, and for those who don't know, for those watching, I was trying to bring up the ChatGPT interface, but my screen share wasn't showing that. But the bulk upload, oh, there it is, bulk create right there. So if
Right.
anyone can see my screen under apps, I already have it loaded here. And what Jessica did is if you select an element, like the quote, and you hit these three dots, you can connect it to data. I don't see that right now because you probably already did it, right? It probably already.
Correct. Yeah. But that's what I
So
did. I just clicked the three dots and did
yeah.
connect data, and I connected it to the spreadsheet that I previously downloaded.
Mm-hmm. And then it just puts in that location your quote.
Right.
So she took time to design the background graphic, and now you've got, like, how long did the last set of quote graphics last us? You posted that over what period of time?
So it lasted me about 30 days because I had
Yeah.
15 and I was posting one every other day.
See,
Pretty
that's
much.
that's huge.
Yeah.
That's a huge time saver. And not that this is your only content strategy, folks, but this is a huge one. And yes, you can enter the data manually, but if you upload that CSV right there, that is absolutely a primo way to utilize that. So that's huge. What else? So the big question I got yesterday, I was at um, a conference. I couldn't even rightly call it a conference. It was a training at our local incubator, a local catapult. And for those who don't know, that's our entrepreneur co-working space. And they were hosting um, something on SEO, and it came up like, can we use ChatGPT for content creation? And the short answer is yes. But the big question I got was, will this ruin my future SEO? So are you familiar with this concern, Jessica?
I am not. No. I think ChatGPT is awesome.
I am not familiar
I
with this
am not
concern.
worried.
uh, that's pretty funny. The problem for those watching and for you, Jessica, that people are concerned about is that Google, and I need to pull this up, Google is massively concerned about ChatGPT and AI generated content. And if I get sluggish, it's only because my other window is going. And ChatGPT, and then hold on, Google search. I got to show you this chart. And if you're just now popping in, this is Spark Office Hours. Ask any question you want to ask us about Spark or your account or AI or what makes us happy in the morning. We don't even care. It's ask us anything so that we get you taken care of. But here, let me show you this. So this right here, I showed people at the meeting yesterday. This is Google Trends, and it shows search volume. And the blue line is how much people have begun searching for ChatGPT versus Google search.
Yes, that's amazing.
It's nuts. Now, okay, Grant, there's a flaw in this data, and that is this. When people Google search, they don't usually type in Google search, right? I mean, it's not
Right.
something they do. So, like, there is a flaw in the data, admittedly, but that is why I put it down as a baseline. And then you've got ChatGPT. I just wanted to show the relative growth of the interest in
Yes.
ChatGPT. But a major problem that a lot of people have been bringing up is, well, Grant, if right now teachers have these tools to tell if a piece of material was written by an AI. So have you heard of any of that?
Hmm. No.
I mean, you can imagine if your boys were like had to write a paper for their
Right.
homeschooling and you want to know if they actually did any critical thinking.
That
And
makes
so
sense.
teachers are concerned about, well, what does this do for critical thinking? And so they have already rolled out AIs that are fighting AIs, and these AI algorithms read the material and tell the probability that this piece of content was written by AI. Well, here's the thing: you've got these two AIs battling it out, right? Like one that writes itself and the other tries to identify it. But there's a third AI, and the third AI is a scrambler. And all the scrambler does is it takes the content and rewrites it,
Okay.
because the first AI, ChatGPT in this example, writes the content and they're starting to look at ways to like watermark the content.
Gotcha.
The scrambler will actually pull it in and like rewrite it or remove the watermark effectively. I don't even know how all this works. And we're all learning as this goes.
Right.
Um, so my argument is this: SEO reigns that content is king. And web pages have quality scores. Like SEO is search engine optimization. And if everyone is concerned about how ChatGPT is going to mess up their content, my real question is, are you not creating content already? ChatGPT and any AI is meant to maybe augment or assist your content. But if you're concerned that your AI generated content in the future, when Google comes along and gets threatened and says we're going to downrank you if you have AI driven content, AI written content,
That's
they're
interesting.
they're concerned about it. But what they're going to have to do is, well, what if I have 100 articles and 2 of them are AI written, or can even be identified as AI written? Are you going to downrank my all of my web pages, or just those web pages, or how does that work? Um, so we've got a comment here from Hazleche.
It
Oh,
says spam.
spam.
They
Okay.
found
Twitch.
us.
They did find us. Twitch has so much spam. It's not even funny. So you guys got pitched. And that's how you know you made it, is when your
Oh,
stream gets spam comments. But my thinking is this: first and foremost, are you creating valuable content for your website already without AI? Are you using then? And if the answer to yes is that, Joe Child, this is Dr. Joe Child, says your world is just as crazy as higher education with students writing papers with ChatGPT. Your world is just as crazy. I want to know what you mean by that, Joe. Oh, so it's the same in my world with web design and SEO as it is with higher education and students. And Joe, let me ask you this, because Dr. Childs would know this. He's not only an educator and has been for over 20 years. He's an education consultant and also an entrepreneur by his own right in so many ways. Joe, what tools are teachers and instructors using specifically to identify um, ChatGPT or AI written content? I'd love to know that. Now, there are natural limitations. Fun fact for you, Jessica: are you familiar with any of the normal limitations of ChatGPT right now?
I don't think I've encountered one yet.
No. So it's not a trick question, but it's like there's so much to know about it. Like, what are we even talking about? ChatGPT, like for Joe Childs with school and education, ChatGPT's data set is no stops in 2020.
Okay, that makes
So
sense.
yeah, so one thing a teacher can do is actually assign a topic that's contemporary. And then ChatGPT might struggle to do this. This is trending among educators. This is a course that Dr. Childs is sharing with us on Udemy. Make teaching easier with AI, ChatGPT. So this is interesting that might be a use case for teachers and instructors to be using ChatGPT and Jessica, you might even be able to use this.
Yeah, Udemy jumped on that, huh? They're like, they're creating courses.
Hey, man. I mean, we've got a course out
I
on.
know.
Yeah, if we've got a course, ChatGPT's got a course on that. But you might be able to make use of this for the homeschooling. That would be interesting. That would be an interesting course, Jessica.
Yeah.
ChatGPT for homeschoolers.
Hmm.
Well, we could do that. That I'm sure he's talking about the purchases of this course. There's probably 3,000
Right.
purchases of this course. So, a natural limitation that you need not fear is that if you're looking for contemporary data, if you're using ChatGPT, its data set ends in 2020. They might be remedying that with paid plans. And Google Bard is supposed to have Google Bard is their answer to ChatGPT. It
Okay.
kind of flopped when they launched it last week. Did you hear anything about this?
No.
No, I had you too busy with marketing material, but the Google Bard came out last week, and it kind of fell flat. It had wrong or missing information. It was kind of weird, but it's so far ahead. So where did we leave off here? So some of the limitations of ChatGPT were
Right.
that's the biggest one too. So teachers and instructors could limit um, their date on that. So if that's the case, though, going back to business, most of you should be creating and generating content that's current.
Right.
So first off, going back, are you worried about ChatGPT getting downranked for SEO? Number one, you need to be creating authentic user generated content. A lot of that content should be video, it should be you,
Hmm.
because branding and marketing is changing dramatically. SEO is really for local ranking. Am I a local service provider and am I ranking? But that should not be the lion's share of your marketing plan. You need to be a brand of one. And what we know from crypto is that crypto is massively disrupting in the marketing space major brands, because we're realizing we don't have a relationship with a lot of these brands because there's no community components. So we want a brand of one. We want to get to used to knowing, is that plumber? Who is that plumber? Who's showing up at my house? Are they reputable? Are they avoiding the camera? A lot of you people watching avoid the camera. I'm just not good on camera. This is you ever met a young person, Jessica, who was like petrified of going to like a school dance, like dating.
Right.
And so they're like, no one's going to want to dance with me. And then they act weird and awkward. So no one did want to dance with them. But chicken or the egg on that? Did no one want to dance with them, or did they were just acting awkward because they felt no one wanted to dance with them? This is the problem with video and marketing, that if you're already awkward and avoiding the camera, that's a red flag to people. Why are you avoiding the camera? Just show me who you are. And so if you get that out of the way, you're writing your own content. You're doing your own video content. You're updating your Google business profile. These are things you should already be doing at volume. If you're doing those things, and 1 out of 5, 1 out of 10 of your pieces of content are AI generated, that piece of content might get downranked. Well, go scramble it or go rewrite it. Let it just prime the pump of your creative juices, and then use it to just accelerate your content. That's a big one. Have you used it for idea generation yet?
No, that sounds cool.
Well, like you're going to a birthday party tomorrow, right?
Yes.
Like you could easily say in ChatGPT, you could describe your friend. Literally, you could tell ChatGPT this. My friend is a vegetarian who loves gardening, right? Everyone who doesn't know Jessica knows that she loves gardening. Um, you could type that into ChatGPT. Then you could ask ChatGPT, what are the 5 top gift recommendations you have?
That's cool.
Try it. You're
I
gonna try
will.
it
Yeah, I am.
too.
Because I have
And it
time. I
might.
need to go get a present.
So, are you plagiarizing? No, you're going to look at these ideas. You're going to pick one, and you're going to go make it your own. That's how you should be dealing with content with ChatGPT. If you're going to sit down and you could ask it, give me 5 topics and one introductory sentence for each topic, let's say Dr. Childs wants to write a Medium article about AI in education. He could feed it the link he just gave us right here, and he could say, ChatGPT, please review this page or something like that. And then he could say, give me 5 topics to teach other educators about AI and 1 introductory sentence for each. Now, is he plagiarizing? Not at all. He's getting an assist in his creative process, but he's probably going to write the rest himself. Like 98% of that article is going to come from him authentically. So my answer to people when they ask, is ChatGPT going to ruin my SEO ranking? First off, I shake my head and go, you are worried about the wrong things. And once I get over judging them, then I say quite kindly, this is not what you need to be worrying about. You need to here we go. Here we go. Joe's got confessions. Joe, I'd like to actually hear one of the most helpful ways you are consistently using ChatGPT for higher education. I would love to hear that. And I'll tell you what, here we go. He even says this. We need to teach students how to use it responsibly. And that's the thing. This is not going to go away. Like, have you shown your kids this?
No.
No. In some ways, if you think about it, in some ways, and there's risks to this next thought, this might be safer for them than perusing the internet.
Oh, absolutely.
So hang on. Joe says it's great for synthesizing multiple sources of content. Hey, you're right. Please summarize these 3 articles at a 10th grade level.
Right.
It's good for generating ideas. But if you showed your boys, hey, this is how you ask a question, they're only going to get material as well crafted as their question. Yep. But how old are you now? Can I ask how old you are? Are you
Me?
in your 30s? Yeah.
I am in my 30s.
Do you remember pre-internet days?
I remember being in like middle school when the internet was like Netscape came out.
Yes.
I remember.
Do you remember the White House?
I remember dial-up. I remember AOL.
Do you remember the WhiteHouse.com fiasco?
Oh, yes. Yes, I do.
For those
I remember another student talking to me about it.
For those who might not remember, a little piece of internet history that's just quirky and weird is someone had the insight to purchase WhiteHouse.com when the government owned WhiteHouse.gov. And it was Joe already knows. It was a porn site. And for too long in the classroom, kids were typing in whitehouse.com and with no parameters, porn would just come up.
And I think that was before like our school even really knew how to like do security on the internet, because it would just come up and I was like, oh, like.
Yeah, my prying eyes. Joe's dying. And Joe says this, as an educator, you can upload your papers and ask for a summary. Now, this would be great as an educator because like before AI, could you imagine having to read, like, let's say you've got 20 to 30 students per classroom in higher ed.
Yes.
And then how many classes do you have? You might have a teaching assistant, but what if you could have that TA now upload them all and give you a summary, or ask, the rubric is going to be infinite. In fact, Joe, we should start an AI startup that one of your schools, Wesleyan or somebody, funds, where we write an AI that's based on ChatGPT that functions strictly for higher ed, and it has certain rubrics on it. Reads not only it creates a summary and asks it, is there critical thinking applied or new thinking applied to this idea? Flags it so that the TA knows which one to read in more depth, or points out paragraphs that are worth critique. There's all sorts of things you could do with this now that I'm sure there's so many incubators working on. Here we go. It makes providing a summary back to a class. Here are the themes you were all talking about this week.
I like it.
Dang. It's calling out zeitgeist. You all mentioned, of the 30 students or 60 students, you all mentioned this one topic.
This is so
That's
interesting. I love hearing how Joe's using this.
Isn't that nuts? Now, see, that's the thing, like being an educator, I wonder how we could use this because, like, I wonder if we couldn't have ChatGPT crawl our emails and tell us a synthetic summary of this is what your clients are asking for, and then make a predictive model on how we should staff.
Yeah, I like that.
That's interesting. You can, of course, summarize student course feedback. That's big, and the reason that this is big, Joe, is that sometimes people can get emotionally hurt if they get a critique from a student that they had a conflict with, or peer reviews. But if you could upload them all and just tell ChatGPT, summarize this performance review or summarize the course feedback, so maybe it wasn't person driven, it'll rewrite the whole thing. That's brilliant. And then, yes, he's done email summaries too. Awesome use cases. I can share privately how I'm using it. Yes, Joe. Yeah. Yes, please.
Support at sparkmysite.com.
Yeah, yeah, please. I can only imagine there's probably like, what should I, not speaking for Joe, but like I think about all the people who are like, what should I do about my career? Joe might find this interesting, and Jessica, you would find this interesting. Marissa and I share a friend who is working in the Episcopalian Church, and he's been having ChatGPT create sermon summaries. And he called it out. He went to Southeastern, so Joe's at a Christian college that is that has a charismatic history. So they believe in signs and wonders and the Holy Spirit and whatnot. And ChatGPT came back to him and said, "I cannot have a faux pas to privately share." Oh my gosh, I cannot. We're not giving private information away, but Joe has to admit, I love his transparency, that he has a faux pas that came from AI. Okay, I can't wait. This friend of ours said that they were talking, literally got into a conversation with ChatGPT and was asking it about sermons and then some eschatological or theological information. And ChatGPT said, you should ask the Holy Spirit for guidance on that. How wild is that? Now, that could have happened a lot of ways. He could have said, this is my theological background, and ChatGPT referred to that. But still, super, super smart.
But if it's like analyzing the questions you've asked before, if he asked faith type questions previously, would it kind of assume the answers that he would want to hear?
It would be it would be so worth it to actually just do like a mini series podcast on theologically driven people who have given exactly what you're saying. But I think that ChatGPT has a very strong legal self-protection, meaning I think the bias that they wrote into the algorithm is, do not give financial advice, do not give medical advice in any way, shape, or form. But there's got to be boundaries like that it's also learning theologically, if nothing more than to protect it from the cancellation atmosphere, but
Mm-hmm.
on both sides politically. I'm not picking at one, but that just to cover its butt. But you would think that to a degree they definitely would. Deidre's got a great one. I asked Wright Sonic's AI if it believed in God and said yes, and he is described in the Bible.
Even reference the book.
He even referenced the book.
Wow.
So, I mean, it's saying it's a Christian AI. Now, Deidre, I should have, but I don't know about Wright Sonic. Deidre, I'd love to know, is Wright Sonic an overtly Christian AI? Is it funneling ChatGPT? Is there a specific AI that they're borrowing from? If you know anything like that, let me know. I'll research it regardless. But that's quite interesting. If you load up your post 2021 content, it integrates it into its own pre 2021 content. Now, here's something that Joe's calling out that I want to be. What?
I wrote it down. I'm going to check it out.
Jessica's got her faith-based homework for the evening. It's run by people from India. That is supremely intriguing. I want to get to this comment by Joe real quick. If you upload your post 2021 content, what's interesting about this is this: the critique against ChatGPT has been its data set is limited. I don't know where this stands. We can upload our own content, and in our own conversation, as Joe is saying, um, it will integrate that information. My question is, does ChatGPT across the board learn from every interaction and apply
Right.
the interaction with Joe to Jessica? If Joe uploads his doctoral thesis post 2021 doctorate, can Jessica now ask a question and it still pull from that body of knowledge? That would be very intriguing. And you know what we have? Oh, it is contained to that thread. That is very
Mm,
specific, but it has the capability. It has to.
right.
It has to. Um, Deidre says also it gives you the option to use Google data, and this is right. We're back to right Sonic, I think, in
Hmm.
Deidre's case. Deidre, correct us if we're wrong. It gives you the option to use Google data. It costs a few extra words, but you can select the toggle, so no limit on the data. That's super intriguing, and I'd like to. We'll look at right Sonic um, because it sounds very intriguing. Bing with ChatGPT is killing Google search. So, Joe, are you saying that Bing is using ChatGPT or is it using its own AI? But either way, it is killing Google search. For those who don't know, Jessica, you've heard me say this. Google has made two press releases in the last 3 weeks on how they're planning on addressing the issue that people aren't searching anymore. Let me ask you this. We got comments piling in, and we'll get to them in a second. Jessica, as you've been
Yes.
using ChatGPT and you're homeschooling your kids, do you think you will teach them to search or teach them to prompt? Prompt is the term we use for ChatGPT. Like, what are you prone to do for their homework?
Um, I mean, I think I would teach Antonio how to use it just to, hmm, sorry, I'm kind of like blanking out because like I can't
Yeah.
think of a reason right now where I would want him to use it.
To use
Um,
ChatGPT?
yeah, we're not really writing a lot of papers right now, but if he had a question about something, like I would easily jump on there and just ask the question instead of going through the Google search. Because, like you've said before, first you get all these ads and then you have
Yeah.
to dig. Like it's so much easier to get answers.
Yeah.
Um, so I would just use it simply for that. Just simple, quick answers.
That's well, and that's interesting because if you think like you have as a homeschooler or any parent with a kid who brought home homework,
Oh yeah,
you only have an hour for homework. And
right.
they're trying to look up the Constitution and they're looking at the Wikipedia article, they're reading the full context. But what if you could just ask ChatGPT, what's the Bill of Rights? And it
Yeah,
just
and
pull
it's
it up.
just there. Yeah.
It's just there. Deidre says the AI will tell you what it does better than ChatGPT. That is interesting from a sales perspective. Yes, because from a sales perspective, you can get much more updated data. There is a gap using ChatGPT for sales. I still recommend that you can find general things. And in our course, I have a small lesson on how I use ChatGPT for sales, but I haven't experimented with Write and I need to be looking at other resources. Joe says this. Nancy Duarte. Now, for those who don't know, Joe is related to Nancy Duarte, and Jessica, you, me, and Amber should really be familiar with Nancy Duarte's work. She is, among many things, a design name in Silicon Valley. There's a whole list of credentials that she has that are very respectable. He says Nancy says Silicon Valley is moving to Bing. That is nuts. And then Microsoft purchased Chat. I did not know this. I know that they were
Wow.
invested into OpenAI, and that deal has to be fresh. this has to be fresh deal because OpenAI is still managing it from what I can tell. And Google was
Right.
an early investor, as was Elon. Elon was an early investor in, I don't know about ChatGPT, but OpenAI. That would be that would be interesting. And then Deidre goes on to say, Right Sonic didn't know who I was when I asked it. It also will give you information based on your country, since America's predominantly Christian. That could explain its answer totally. I wonder what it would say if I changed my country. If you change your VPN, Deidre,
Hmm.
do that for us. Use a VPN and like dial in from like I don't know, dial in from Italy and see if it doesn't give you Catholic answers. Dial in from India and see if it doesn't give you Hindi answers. And now you know they've got a pandering. Uh, get on the list to get it. Microsoft spent $11 billion.
Wow.
Think about that. Listen, they haven't even turned on their monetization yet. And Jessica knows this. I signed up on, yeah, get on the list to get it. I signed up on the wait
Hmm.
list. So Microsoft spent 11 billion. Some of that's on the under the hood tech for their other ventures. Some of that has got to be on the wait list. I'm on the wait list. I'm sure Joe is. I'm sure his school is. Man, on the wait list. Yes. And that's probably what, a 10-year deal that they're just going to be doling that out. That is nuts. That is crazy. So other than fangirling over what ChatGPT is, I want to hear other ways. Deidre, if you're still lurking, I'd like to hear other ways you're using ChatGPT in your business. Now, we're using it for infographics. Are there any other ways we can share that we have like tangibly been using it, Jessica?
I can't speak on another way that I have used it. I know that you've used it a bunch.
I have.
Um,
Now, oh, go ahead.
we did look up recipes for marshmallow fluff in the beginning.
We did. That's one of the examples from our course. We we definitely looked up the recipes for marshmallow fluff, but everything from training your dog to whatever. But you know what? It just dawned on me, Joe. $11 billion. When Joe says this, wait list to get ChatGPT integration with Bing. If Microsoft owns ChatGPT, it might gate it so that we can no longer go to that chat screen. It might gate it so that you have to use the Bing browser.
Right.
And now we're in the Microsoft ecosystem. This is why
Hmm.
Google's freaked out, because Google is so used to not only selling me ads, but getting my data to resell. And now Bing, which has been a joke of a
Yeah,
browser, of a search. Have you ever used Bing?
a long time ago.
It's a joke. And we should even look up the numbers. I'm going to put up here percentage of use, percentage of browser use. I'll bring this up in just a second once it comes up here. Global stats is called Stat Counter. Joe Child says get on the wait list. Deidre says I invented a tool. Jessica might not know this. Do you know that Deidre's a client?
I actually sent her an email today.
You did. Okay, so you do know. So Deidre has the big fat tip, which is a which is a very funny pun, as well as a great just a gifting effort, which you guys got to check out, thebigfattip.com. But then also Interesting Conversations is a game she invented. She is also like a virtual game host and a corporate game host. She does a lot. And then she says she invented a tool that generates creative words, which it turned into a story and song lyrics in a hot minute. And Deidre, if you know Adam Welchel at all, he also is now writing songs with ChatGPT
Cool.
um, with prompts like write me lyrics to a song about a guy on the open road missing his girlfriend in the tone of country or Jimmy Buffett, and it will write lyrics, and then it'll say, give it to me in G minor, and it will start overlapping that, and then
I
it'll
love
say,
it.
yeah, it's really interesting from that regard. Deidre says, sometimes I just talk to it.
Yeah, that was my favorite part of that line. Sometimes I just like to talk to it. It told me what it did on Valentine's Day. I'm like, what did it do?
if if you know Deidre, you know she likes to talk. And if she doesn't have a client, I could easily imagine her going, I need someone to talk to. Let's go hang out with ChatGPT. And it actually talked with her. For instance, it told me what it did for Valentine's Day. And then Joe says this: Microsoft only wants a small percentage of the search market, which is interesting. But I want to show everyone this chart now real quick, and we'll get to Joe and Deidre's comments right quick. Like, this is the global usage of browsers. We got Chrome over here at 65 crazy percent. Safari is the closest with 18%. Listen, this is why I get so bent out of shape. When we design a website and someone's like, it doesn't look right on Safari. Of course it should look right on every browser. But it's less than 20% of browsers, which I guess is 1 out of 5. We should make it work. Okay, I get it. But very few people relatively use this. But Edge, and this is what I was thinking of, not Bing. Edge is their browser. Bing is their search. But Joe says then Microsoft only wants a small percentage of the search market. And that's interesting because technically ChatGPT isn't search. But what they are positioning themselves to do, we don't want search, we want answers. Like your kids, marshmallow fluff, or biology, like what's a frog? What are Y chromosomes? Like, I mean, just like crazy questions. Maybe Microsoft doesn't want the search market. Maybe they want the ad market, the data market, and they're all in data. So $11 billion starts to make more sense far beyond the revenue case. So a lot of, and Joe probably knows this way better than I do because Joe's, he's been the business dean of Southeastern. He's a PhD in economics, if I'm not mistaken. He did a massive productivity sleep study for for his PhD, I believe. Very interesting guy. He'll know these numbers better than I do. When you do evaluation of a purchase, it's usually 10 times the fundamentals. So if they're paying 11 billion, in theory, the fundamentals need to make the case for $1 billion. And the fundamentals could be revenue, but it could be a lot of other things. But what they're effectively saying is we believe this is worth $1 billion. I struggle to believe the wait list at $50 a month, which I think was the rate, is enough. Like, we could do a quick calculation and say, is this even $1 billion? So there is a different underlying case, and whether it's search or data. Apparently Joe's saying it's not really search. Maybe it's data. Maybe it's information. Maybe it's analytics. I don't know. Maybe it's just an advertising platform for them. That's a very intriguing
Yeah, I'm
number.
interested.
Yeah. And then Deidre says, I heard about Beethoven specifically. It's not a misspelling. This is the actual spelling. I heard about Beethoven. We'll turn all of that into music.
Like beat oven.
Beat of it. Oh, so maybe, yeah. So maybe you could take what you've gotten from ChatGPT and shove it into Beethoven, and it actually compose it.
I
Oh,
can't
she's
wait.
looking it up. Jessica's like, that goes on my dry erase board.
Yep.
Dude, that's cutting edge. And
That's really
what
cool.
I still have yet to hear is the use case for web design, really. Here we go. I'll send some links to you, Grant. I need to run. Joe, thank you so much. You've really enriched the show. I really appreciate it. And I want to hear your faux pas. Let's talk about that later. So generate the lyrics and then move it to Beethoven. That is awesome. Maybe you just generate the lyrics and some of the prompts, you shove that in the Beethoven and it like kind of composes, and then you give it additional prompts. Very cool. Well, guys, it's about 45 minutes in. We've kind of beat up ChatGPT, and there's a lot here. We're going to dip off, but again, this is Spark Office Hours, and we try to make ourselves available every 2 weeks. And it's not only about ChatGPT; it's about tech. It's about your website and your web presence. It's about marketing. It's about whatever you need. I really love today's show, though. I got a lot of this. What was your biggest takeaway, Jessica?
I'm interested to look more into White Sonic. I just thought that
let me.
Right
It's
Sonic.
Right Sonic.
Right Sonic. Sorry.
I was trying to imagine what White Sonic would be.
Okay,
Right
yeah,
Sonic.
I'm interested to look into that just to compare.
Yeah.
See what that's about.
Yeah. And report back, because I mean, I would love for us to have competitor tools because these tools are going to pop up everywhere. Deidre
Mhm.
says, do you have specific prompts you can share that generate better responses? Deidre, you actually are hitting on something really good. I in our course, which right now is only $6, $5 actually. Our course is only $5, but there's a downloadable we put in there that has a whole array of chat GPT prompts. But you're raising a great point. There is a new title in LinkedIn that has appeared for the first time ever in the last month. And that title, that job title, is prompt engineer. And so this might be a really valuable tool to help people accelerate how they should be asking. But here's a specific one you can ask. Ask ChatGPT common commands or common prompts for ChatGPT, and it will tell you. So start there, but I commit to you, Deidre, that I'm going to do more homework on coming up with some good prompts to generate better responses. But that's so broad, it really depends on your desired outcomes. So if there's education, there's a whole set of prompts. If there's coaching and sales, there's a whole set of prompts. And she does say this, which I really do love. It's just like conversations. Better questions yields better responses. Absolutely. And that is my major. You could skip our course because my major takeaway for our course, like it's like a 14 lesson course. It's how to do marketing, sales, production, bookkeeping, and admin. There's a ton. But my net summary is let it teach you how to ask better, more pointed questions. And with that, my friends, we're going to sign off. Thank you so much for making it a rich Spark Office Hours. Let us know what you want to learn about. That's what Spark is here for. Have a great day.